Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Joe Jencks, and you are here for a special Solidarity concert. This is co-hosted by Mayworks in Winnipeg. Huge shout out to Mayworks. You can go to their website. They are doing some incredible work in the realm of labor and community activism and preserving the history and the culture of working people and working toward a brighter future for all of us. So thank you so much to all the folks up there, Derek Black and Brittany and all the folks with Fet Jockey helping out with this show. Thank you so much. And this is going to be a whole show dedicated to the idea of work and workers and solidarity, working class folks, veterans, a lot of people that we want to remember on this Memorial Day weekend. And in the month of May, which is historically a tribute to workers and the working class. And thought I'd start out with one of the old great labor songs. And if you know it, sing along from home. When John Henry was a little baby, sitting on his papa's knee, picked up a hammer and a little piece of steel, said that hammer's gonna be the death of me. Lord, Lord, the hammer's gonna be the death of me. The captain said to John Henry, gonna bring that steam drill around, gonna bring that steam drill out on the job, gonna whop that steel down, Lord, Lord, gonna whop that steel on down. John Henry said to the captain, a man ain't nothing but a man, but before I let that steam drill beat me down, gonna die with a hammer in my hand, Lord, Lord, gonna die with a hammer in my hand. John Henry said to his shaker, shaker, why don't you sing? For I'm throwing 30 pounds from my hips on down, just to listen to that cold steel ring, Lord, Lord, to listen to that cold steel ring. John Henry said to his shaker, shaker, why don't you pray? For if I miss that little piece of steel, tomorrow'll be your burying day, Lord, Lord, tomorrow'll be your burying day. The man who invented the steam drill thought he was mighty fine, but John Henry, he made 15 feet, and the steam drill only made 9, Lord, Lord, the steam drill only made 9. John Henry hammered in the mountain, his hammer was striking fire, but he worked so hard, he broke his poor heart, and he laid down his hammer and he died, Lord, Lord, he laid down his hammer and he died. They took John Henry to the graveyard, buried him in the sand, but every locomotive comes running by, says, well, here lies a steel driving man, Lord, Lord, here lies a steel driving man. And every Monday morning, when the bluebirds begin to sing, you can hear John Henry for a mile or more. You can hear John Henry's hammer ring, Lord, Lord. You can hear John Henry's hammer ring. So greetings, and thank you so much for showing up tonight. Giving a shout out to people coast to coast in the United States and Canada. and several people overseas as well. Thank you so much for tuning into this special solidarity concert presented in partnership with Mayworks Festival in Winnipeg. Again, Mayworks is an extraordinary organization. They've had me up there several times. And this year they're doing their level best to put together a great month of activities. So do check out their website. There's so many extraordinary songs that come out of the labor movement and the labor traditions, the working class traditions. And I'm going to share with you this evening some that are original, some that are traditional to the movement, songs by friends of mine, songs about friends of mine. And but I thought I'd start out, in 2015 I had the privilege of being out in Salt Lake City to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Joe Hill's execution. It doesn't seem like something that you should celebrate, but in fact we do celebrate Joe Hill even still. And to stand on the site that was once the prison out there, the penitentiary that is now a beautiful park in Salt Lake City, and be a part of this incredibly transformative evening of music inspired me. And I wrote a tune called Joe Hill's Hornpipe. And I realized that I could reset the words to Solidarity Forever, one of the great anthems of the labor movement internationally, that I could in fact set that text to the melody I had written. And so that's what this is, Solidarity Forever, to a slightly different melody than you're used to. When the union's inspiration through the workers' blood shall run, there can be no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. What force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one? But the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. We who plowed the prairies, built the cities where they trade, dug the mines and built the workshops, endless miles of railroad laid. Now we stand outcast and starving midst the wonders we have made, but the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. They have taken untold millions that they never toiled to earn, but without a brain and muscle, not a single wheel would turn. We'll break their haughty power, gain our freedom when we learn that the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. Hands is placed a power greater than their hoarded gold, greater than the might of armies magnified 1,000-fold. We'll bring to birth a new world from the ashes of the old, when the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. For the union makes us strong. For the union makes us strong. Well, summer has arrived in Illinois, and it is warm, but it's also been raining on and off all day, so it's humid. So it basically went from like winter to summer, and like just, you know, those of you in Manitoba know what I'm talking about. It happens up there too. Spring is something that, you know, if you blink, you miss it. But we're already just into summer here. But a year ago this weekend, I was up in Winnipeg celebrating with all of you the 100th anniversary of the Winnipeg General Strike. In 1919, the workers of Winnipeg seized the city for nearly 7 weeks, addressing issues of the 8-hour day, of child labor, of wages, of health care, fair treatment in the workplace, representation, all the things that we have been working for decades, for centuries, recognition of our right to be safe in the workplace. And so successful was the general strike that it had a real impact on labor laws in Canada. It had an impact on labor laws in the United States. Organizing tactics that came out of the Winnipeg general strike were used around the world, including in Ireland in their final war of independence. And so the Winnipeg general strike is frequently overlooked, but truly an extraordinary event in global labor history. And I wrote this song. I had promised Derek and Mitch Podolak that I would write a song in honor of the festival. And then I kind of got partway through and tucked it away and forgot about it until I was on an Air Canada flight up to Winnipeg from O'Hare in Chicago. And I suddenly remembered that I really needed to finish this song, and so I did on the airplane. So the workers of the day would have carried with them a songbook, and it was published by the Industrial Workers of the World. It was this book. It's called Songs to Fan the Flames of Discontent. There's a smaller pocket version that many of the workers kept in their shirt pocket. And those of you that are familiar with the IWW, with working class history, with the history of the movement, you'll hear a lot of Easter eggs in this song for you. But rather than trying to give you a linear recitation of 7 weeks of struggle and what led up to it and what happened after, I just thought that I would place myself as a songwriter in the midst of that struggle, in the midst of that challenge, as one of the fellow workers who was really aspiring to see a brighter future emerge for my family and for my descendants and for my community. This is called Winnipeg 1919.
It was 1919 and all around the world people started marching with their victory flag unfurled. We've shed our blood on battlefields, enslaved in deep dark mines. We rally to the banner, bread and roses, it's our time. Come gather fellow workers and raise your voices strong. We rise today in Winnipeg to sing our victory song. From Europe and to Canada, across the USA, we cry out for justice and for fair and equal pay. All sisters and brothers and all workers here unite. We strive for one big union and defend our common rights. Come gather fellow workers and raise your voices strong. We rise today in Winnipeg to sing our victory song. From Halifax and Thunder Bay to the Fraser River shore, Seattle, San Francisco, and Chicago, hear us roar. From Boston on to Dublin town, I heard the people's cry. No more to drudge and idler when the workers organize. Come gather fellow workers and raise your voices strong. We rise today in Winnipeg to sing our victory song. Some of us were born of means and others not a dime. We spend our lives in service to a cause we hold sublime. All laborers in commonwealth, now let our voices say that one way or another we will bring the greater day. Come gather, fellow workers, and raise your voices strong. We rise today in Winnipeg to sing our victory song. So here's to Big Bill Haywood, Mother Jones, and Eugene Debs, along with Emma Goldman and Joe Hill and all the Reds, and all those fellow travelers who beckon to the call. An injury to one of us is an injury to all. Come gather, fellow workers, and raise your voices strong. We rise today in Winnipeg to sing our victory song. We may not win our struggle here, but sure as hell we'll try. For the future of our children, we are steadfast by and by. It's only when our minds are joined with muscle we can stand and bring to birth a new world, arm in arm and hand in hand. Come gather, fellow workers, and raise your voices strong. We rise today in Winnipeg to sing our victory song. Come gather, fellow workers, and raise your voices strong. We rise today in Winnipeg to sing our victory song. We rise up all around the world and sing our freedom song.
The labor movement, the civil rights movement, the environmental movement, so many of the movements that we love to talk about, that we sing about them because they have been singing movements. The most effective activist movements have been singing movements throughout the history of North America, throughout the history of Europe. And long after the politics of the day are gone, it is the songs that remain, it's the art that remains. Bertolt Brecht once said that art is not a mirror held up to society, but a hammer with which to shape it. I think that's really important. Actually said it's not a mirror held up to reality, but I just inserted society. It makes sense to me too. But as we have all seen, sometimes society and reality diverge. But this is one of the ideas behind Mayworks and the work that they have done for so long, is to support artists who very much believe that art has the power to heal, art has the power to transform, art has the power to make a difference in the world in a very particular way, not just in reflecting what goes on, but in fact shaping it. And so I'd like to sing a song now that was... it was written by one of the great troubadours of labor, Joe Glazer, born 102 years ago in 1918 on June 18th. Joe Glazer was a friend and a mentor to me and to so many. I had the privilege of getting to know him through the Great Labor Arts Exchange and the Labor Heritage community, and had the privilege of playing with him, performing with him on a few occasions. And as much as a joy as it was to be his friend, it's also a tremendous joy to sing his songs. This is one of his songs that's probably most well known. It's called "The Mill Was Made of Marble."
and gone to Marywood. Job in heaven's textile plant on a golden boulevard, where the mill was made of marble, the machines were made out of gold. Nobody ever got tired, and nobody ever grew old. Now the mill was built in the garden, no dust or lint could be found. The air was so fresh and so fragrant, there were flowers and trees all around. And the mill was made of marble, the machines were made out of gold. And nobody ever got tired, and nobody ever grew old. It was quiet and peaceful in heaven. There was no clatter or boom. You could hear the most beautiful music as you worked at the spindle and loom. And the mill was made of marble, the machines were made out of gold. And nobody ever got tired, and nobody ever grew old. There was no unemployment in heaven. We worked steady all through the year. We always had food for the children. We never were haunted by fear. And the mill was made of marble, the machines were made out of gold. And nobody ever got tired, and nobody ever grew old. When I awoke from this dream about heaven, I wondered if someday there'd be a mill like that down here below, right on earth, for workers like you and like me. And the mill was made of marble, the machines were made out of gold. And nobody ever got tired, and nobody ever grew old. Where the mill was made of marble, the machines were made out of gold. And nobody ever got tired, and nobody ever grew old. Where nobody ever got tired, and nobody ever grew old.
Thank you, Joe Glazer, for that one. I've had the extraordinary privilege over the year to work with various students in different parts of the country, mostly last year and a little bit early this year before the COVID curtain fell. But it reminded me of a song that I wrote with students out in Washington State, most of them the children of migrant and seasonal laborers. And the song is called Adonde Pertenezco. And it was all the students' words, and their assignment was to translate it into English. Not being a native Spanish speaker, I apologize if the translation isn't quite perfect, but it was all their work, all their effort, and they graciously gave me permission to take their words and their ideas and set them to music. Adonde Pertenezco, where do I belong?
Pertunesco. Where do I come from? De donde vengo? Where will I go from here? ¿Para dónde iré de aquí? De aquí. I don't have anywhere to stay. No tengo donde quedarme. Going from town to town, yendo a pueblo, to look for a better life, para buscar una vida mejor, vida mejor. We are looking for communities, buscando comunidades with better opportunities, con mejores oportunidades. But who have we left behind? ¿A quienes hemos dejado atrás? Dejado atrás. Where do I belong? ¿A dónde pertenezco? Where do I come from? ¿De dónde vengo? Where will I go from here? ¿Para dónde iré de aquí? De aquí. De aquí. De aquí. De aquí.
I moved to Ohio in 2001, and I had no idea what that move from Seattle to Ohio would do to my life. But it connected me to some really remarkable people, both in northern Ohio and central and southern Ohio. I met a lot of people in the labor movement. And I had heard a lot of talk about the movement, but I didn't really fully understand what it was. I knew what trade unions were, but I didn't understand what the movement was. And the movement is sort of like the force of labor, like with a capital F, like in Star Wars. I mean, the movement is the meta energy that runs through every effort to improve the quality of life for workers everywhere. And the force was strong in Ohio in ways that were pretty remarkable and educating to me. And a friend kept trying to get me down to Mansfield because there was a lockout at a steel mill down there. And it took a little while for us to coordinate our schedules, but I did go to Mansfield. I interviewed a bunch of the workers from the steel workers local down there. And the story of this song emerged from those conversations. It's called Christmas in Mansfield, and I had a special request for this song tonight, so thank you for that. When Dad used to spend time with his children when they'd come home from school every day, before he would go to work second shift, he'd
help them with homework, and sometimes they'd play baseball games in the yard. If it was raining, they'd sit and play cards. But then there was trouble at the steel mill. One night there was sirens and lights. People were screaming and shouting. Somebody started a fight. Now Daddy's home more than before, but he doesn't play much anymore. It's Christmas in Mansfield, Ohio. The children are snuggled in bed. There are no visions of sugar plums dancing. It's questions that fill up their heads. The company boarded up windows, put a fence all the way around the mill. They told union workers they couldn't come back, that all of their jobs had been filled by people from out of the state. Then the company locked up the gates. And it's 17 years at the steel mill to provide for his family's needs. The company, it seems, cares less about people and more about profits and greed. So it's up with the burn barrels and signs. Make a stand on the old picket line. It's Christmas in Mansfield, Ohio. The children are snuggled in bed. There are no visions of sugar plums dancing. It's questions that fill up their head. Christmas once more down in Mansfield. There isn't even much snow. First Christmas was tough, but donations came in. That seemed to keep everyone's spirits high. And Daddy did odd jobs in town. He refused to let his family down. Still in a lockout. More than 3 years have gone by. First Christmas was tough, but donations came in. That seemed to keep everyone's spirits high. And Daddy did odd jobs in town. He refused to let his family down. It's Christmas once more down in Mansfield, and there isn't even much snow. And nobody's counting on charity. It seems that was used up a long time ago. But somewhere Dad found a small tree, and he hung up the lights carefully. It's Christmas in Mansfield, Ohio. The children are snuggled in bed. There are no visions of sugar plums dancing. It's questions that fill up their head. Then the women of steel from the Steel Workers Union brought toys for the girls and the boys. The Firemen's Union from somewhere downstate brought turkeys and hams, and they filled up the plate with cheers and good tidings for all. It's Christmas in a steel union hall. When Daddy looked down at his children, and he smiled with sorrow and pride. And then he sat down on the Union Hall floor, put his face in his hands, and he started to cry. Though he had been strong now for years, he just couldn't hold back the tears. So God bless these workers and families, for the road that they travel is long. And as they stand up for what they believe, God grant them courage and help them along. Let the spirit of hope still shine bright as the stars down on Mansfield that night. It's Christmas in Mansfield, Ohio, but the children laugh and they play. Nobody here can forget about troubles. Maybe they'll set them aside for one day. It's Christmas in Mansfield, Ohio. The children laugh and they play. Nobody here can forget about troubles. Maybe they'll set them aside for one day and remember the kindness they found this Christmas in a steel mill town. Give thanks for the kindness they found this Christmas in a steel mill town.
Thank you so much to all the steel workers in Mansfield who talked with me and shared stories with me, and thanks to all the folks in Ohio that talked me a great deal about what solidarity really means. We're going to go sort of old school on this one. This is sort of a riff on a story in Exodus from Torah, from Hebrew scripture. A little bit of a blues song I wrote based on that, because there's plenty of blues in that story.
Where are you, Moses? Where are you now? Come down from that mountain, Moses, lead your children home. Where are you, Moses?
Sing along at home.
Where are you now?
Come down.
Come down from that mountain, Moses, lead your children home. Your children all are hungry, no food for them to eat. Wandering through this desert, Lord, no shoes upon their feet. So tell me now, where are you, Moses? Where are you now? Come down from that mountain, Moses, lead your children home. You said when we left Egypt, you and God had worked it out to lead us to a promised land. You said there was no doubt. So tell me now, where are you, Moses? Where are you now? Come down from that mountain, Moses, lead your children home. The people carve their idols to worship and to keep. With greed and lust and hatred, Lord, they dig their graves so deep. So tell me now, where are you, Moses? Where are you now? Come down from that mountain, Moses, lead your children home. Many tribes and nations searching for the light, but each one has an answer, Lord. each one thinks they're right. So tell me now, where are you, Moses? Where are you now? Come down from that mountain, Moses. Lead your children home one more time. Where are you, Moses? Where are you now? Come down from that mountain, Moses. Lead your children home. I said, come down from that mountain, Moses. Lead your children home. I said, come down from that mountain, Moses. Lead your children home.
In case the tie-in between that and labor solidarity isn't obvious, I had a conversation at one of the Great Labor Arts Exchange events, one of the very first ones that I went to, I think, in 2002. And I met a man named Charlie Bernhardt. And Charlie had the most interesting career, dual career, being both a labor organizer and a cantor at his synagogue. And I thought it was an intriguing pairing of careers. And then I thought about it, and I said, Charlie, I really think there is strong precedent for this in your tradition of being both spiritual leader and labor organizer. He said, what's that? I said, well, I would argue that Moses led basically the largest labor walkout in history. And so I think that's the tie-in there, and we had a good laugh about it. But where are you, Moses? Indeed, come down from that mountain. Lead your children home. Well, this next song is one that I have been having an absolutely passionate love affair with the last couple of weeks. And it was written by my dear friend Kat Eggleston, who lives out on Vashon Island in Washington State. And it's just called Letter Home 1914. But it's the story of an Irish soldier writing home to his sister. And these were taken from actual letters. The core of this song, Kat Eggleston does extraordinary research on her work. And, the paint was still wet on this one when she sent it to me and said, hey, what do you think of this song? And I said, would you mind if I sing it? And so this really is a brand new song. And I'm so delighted that Kat was willing to let me sing this song and share it with you.
Dear Jenny, I am so sorry I'm only writing today. But since my leaving, I've been so lonely, I've found no words to say. My thoughts are only of Mary, I hope to hear from her soon. I only wish I'd more to bequeath if I should never return. I hear out in the trenches we're drugged with whiskey and rum. If we were ever to come to our senses, we'd never carry a gun. Because of the drink, I hardly remember telling my loved ones goodbye. I only know when I was sober, all I could do was cry. Dear sister, if I should ever come home, lose or win, I swear that I will never go soldiering again. I'll save for a home if Mary will have me and God should give us the chance. But now they say after Christmas they're sending us to France. Dear sister, you be well and may all your years be blessed. My Mary is silent. Please, if you see her, then tell her I wish her the best. All that I have, I leave it to you, so keep this letter near. Your brother John, Company D, in his killing Fusiliers. Your dear brother John, Company D, in his killing Fusiliers.
Thank you so much, Kat Eggleston, for that song. I have just been singing that every day for hours sometimes, just in love with it. And what a beautiful message for this Memorial Day weekend. Thanks for sharing that. Kat has a website. Look her up, K-A-T, Kat Eggleston, and check out her music. For those of you that have been following my music for some time, Kat was also the composer of the Lady Juliana that I recorded on my Poets, Philosophers, Workers, and Wanderers CD. And if she keeps writing songs like that, I'll keep recording them. Wow, thank you. Yeah. Well, let's lift things up just a little bit. I had mentioned working with some school students this year. Earlier this year, I wrapped up a 3-month residency, over 3 weeks, over 3 months, with Waukegan North in Waukegan, Illinois. And it was such a joy to work with those students. And this is one of the songs that came out of that. I walked into one of the classrooms, and there was a big picture of Dr. George Washington Carver hanging on the wall. And I thought to myself, I don't think I've ever heard a folk song about Dr. Carver, but I think there should be one. And so it really didn't take too much enthusiasm on my part to convince the students that that's what we should take on for the week that we had. We had about 9 days, so a week and a half total. Over 3 months, and they dove into the research so earnestly, and it was so much fun. So this is a song called Peanut Man, and while Dr. Carver is known for his work for peanuts, he actually did even more work with the sweet potato, including creating various oils and things that were needed during this same era, during World War I. He was commissioned by the U.S. government to create industrial solvents and lubricants and all kinds of things from sweet potatoes, as well as rubber. So anyway, there's a little backstory for you. And he was also the very first African American to enroll and attend and graduate from Iowa State University. So a little bit of social advancement there back in the day. Peanut Man.
Back in 1864, Diamond Grove, Missouri, a boy was born in slavery. He would change the world. The very first African American to enroll at Iowa State. He earned a bachelor and a master's degree. He really changed his fate. Peanut Man, sweet potato man, cared about people, cared about the land. Loved to work with plants and make things grow. Dr. George Washington Carver, he was a good, good man to know. He became a scientist, a botanist profound. He loved to solve big mysteries of what grew in the ground. Sweet potato rubber, candy, soap, and glue. A professor at Tuskegee, a man whose heart was true. Peanut Man, sweet potato man, cared about people, cared about the land. Loved to work with plants and make things grow. Dr. George Washington Carver, he was a good, good man to know. When the farmers grew all cotton, nearly killed the soil flat, he told them to grow peanuts nitrogen back. Education is the key to unlock the golden door of freedom. Pay attention to the things you learn. Someday you're gonna need them. Peanut man, sweet potato man, cared about people, cared about the land. Love to work with plants and make things grow. Dr. George Washington Carver, he was a good, good man to know. Peanut man, sweet potato man, cared about people, cared about the land. Loved to work with plants and make things grow. Dr. George Washington Carver, he was a good, good man to know.
There you are, Peanut Man, Dr. Carver. Well, this next song was written by my dear friend, Cy Kahn. And I recorded it on my most recent CD, The Forgotten, which is a collection all of songs written by Cy Kahn about many different subjects, but the whole theme of the disc is definitely one of solidarity. And Cy was involved in the civil rights movement and wrote this song reflecting about his time in the movement, just as he was getting out of college and choosing a pathway that would involve working for the rights of workers everywhere, human rights, social justice, civil rights. And it's a really beautiful song. It's called I Have Seen Freedom Being Born.
I have gone had I not seen the newsreels, black and white upon the screen. But I went south to march beside those heroes and tell the world what I had seen. For I have seen the bowls of cotton bursting, white against the early morn. The marchers stretched along the bitter highway. I have seen freedom being born. Would I have known had I not heard their story on shotgun porches bleached by sun? Would I believe had I not seen the troopers lock the bridge with clubs and guns? But I have walked among the people marching, singing we've been buked and we've been scorned. And I have seen the waters part before them. I have seen freedom being born. For there is patience watching from the cotton, anger buried in the bone, resistance waiting for the morning, water hidden in the stone. Nothing I write can make you feel their dignity. These heroes I have known by name. Nothing I do can match their quiet courage. I will never be the same, for I have heard their their songs lift up to heaven, rise from faces lined and worn. And I have seen the gates swing wide to greet them. I have seen freedom being born. I have seen freedom being born. I have seen freedom being born.
Thank you, Sai Khan, for that beautiful song. Speaking of the civil rights movement, this is a song that I wrote on the 50th anniversary of the assassination of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. And I was at a retreat center in the mountains in North Carolina on that morning a few years ago. And I just really started thinking about the fact that his work in social justice began not with divinity school or not with becoming a minister or moving back to Selma. It began in Atlanta, where he grew up. When he was 6 years old, he was friends with a couple of boys in the neighborhood. There was a butcher shop across the street, if I recall the story correctly. And he used to play with those boys, but when they all went to school for the first time, they learned about segregation in ways that had not been a reality in the neighborhood. And he lost his best childhood friend. He would no longer be friends with Martin anymore. And from that moment forward, he pledged himself to make the world a better and different place. He pledged himself as a 6-year-old to work for transformation. And I think that's a beautiful example. This is just called Martin.
January 15, 1929, born in the city of Atlanta. Just another preacher's kid singing in the choir. This kid had a vision, reach for something higher. 6 years old when segregation put him in his place. Started school and lost his childhood friends, questioning the order of society and faith. Many deeper truths which one cannot escape. Martin, oh Martin Luther King, keep holding on to what you know is true. Living out the teachings, continuing to sing. Martin, oh Martin Luther King. Booker T. Washington High School was the place. He began to raise his voice on poverty and race. Headed off to Morehouse, a 15-year-old sage, chasing dreams of dignity beyond his youthful age. Martin, oh Martin Luther King, keep speaking up for what you know is true. Living out the teachings, continuing to sing. Martin, oh Martin Luther King. Studying the sacred word challenged him to grow. He headed for Montgomery, toward a fate he could not know. City bosses, boycotts, peaceful marches in the street. A bomb thrown through a window, crown of thorns laid at his feet. Albany to Birmingham, St. Augustine to Selma, Boston, New York City, Chicago and D.C., carrying the burden and the banner of equality till 1968, April 4th, Memphis, Tennessee. Martin, oh Martin Luther King, we will speak for what we know is true. Living out the teachings, continuing to sing. Martin, oh Martin Luther King. Martin, oh Martin Luther King, we will speak for what we know is true. Living out the teachings, continuing to sing. Martin, oh Martin Luther King. Living out the teachings, continuing to sing. Martin, oh Martin Luther King. Living out your teachings, continuing to sing. Martin, oh Martin Luther King. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King.
I'm going to do a song next that I wrote inspired by my friend Phil Amadon, a master welder with Norfolk Southern Railroad at the time of his retirement. But Phil worked for many railroads over the years, including the old Denver and Rio Grande. And he's a man who taught me a lot about what it means to take pride in the work that we do, whatever it may be, whether that's pushing a broom or driving a school bus or teaching a child, standing on a stage singing a song. Whatever the work is that we bring to the world, it is so important that we take pride in that work and do it to the best of our ability. And our satisfaction as workers is not always in external validation or recognition, but in the fact that we know that we have brought a certain ethic to the work that we're doing, a certain a craft, a certain value, that we have done a craft person's job on that particular thing, whatever it is. And there are so many workers right now that I want to give a salute to, workers in the healthcare and essential fields, emergency responders, so many people that are working in so many different ways to keep us safe, keep us well, and their rights are being challenged. A lot of folks in commercial kitchens are having their rights as workers sort of trampled on because we got to keep the food moving, keep the food moving. You know, there's always some reason within an industrial system why the justification is made for why workers' rights have to come second. And so while knowing full well that we need a lot of people to keep doing a lot of good work, we also need them to do it safely. So the history of the movement is also the movement present time. Organizing drives are continuing to go on all over North America and around the world to stand up for the rights of workers. And my niece Grace is one of those organizers working out in Colorado, and I'm so proud of her. And I want to give a shout out to the hotel employees, restaurant employees, Unite Here, that whole crew of folks just doing a great job, which is not what this song is about, but I got off on a tangent, so there it is. This is called Song of the Rails.
Well, if you have a minute, John, I sure feel like hell. The union vote is coming up and things aren't looking well. You know I'd like to stand up for the things that I believe, but it seems that my life's not as simple as it used to be.
My brain got going on something else right then, just so I'm going to take another reboot at that. It happens sometimes. My brain gets moving a million miles an hour on a bunch of images, and, I just got lost in the story for a second. It happens, but that's how you know this is live. This is not pre-recorded or pre-rehearsed, because I wouldn't have done that on purpose, but thanks for hanging out.
Well, if you have a minute, John, I sure feel like hell. The union vote is coming up and things aren't looking well. You know I'd like to stand up for the things that I believe, but it seems that my life's not as simple as it used to be. I was born in Tulsa back in 1951. They say that I could drive a spike before I learned to run. In a land of dust and corn, the rails spoke a steel truth. The men that kept them working were the heroes of my youth, for they sang, come diddle-diddle-I-do-I-day, working for the railway. Come diddle-diddle-I-do-I-day, working for the railway. When I was a young man and I thought to run away, a freight train, it came through our town and I got on one day. I rode it down to Gallup and then back to Santa Fe. Everywhere I listened, I could hear the railway workers singing, come diddle-diddle-I-do-I-day, working for the railway. Come diddle-diddle-I-do-I-day, working for the railway. In 1969, I met a soul to match my life. But her father said that I must have a job to take a wife. So I looked around at all the work that I might do, found that it was time for me to sing the only song I knew. Hey, come diddle-diddle-I-do-I-day, working for the railway. Come diddle-diddle-I-do-I-day, working for the railway. Now we have 5 children and they bring me joy each day. But the bills keep getting higher and I've nothing left to pay. The union says that we must strike and stand up, don't you see? But I've just got too damn many people who depend on me. Hey, come diddle-diddle-I-do-I-day, working for the railway. Come diddle-diddle-I-do-I-day, working for the railway. At the heart of every worker is the welfare of his kin. And to walk away from pay that's good, it seems, is such a sin. But the bosses, they don't understand how hard I work each night. And I've got mouths to feed, and so I do my part till daylight, singing, come diddle-diddle-I-do-I-day, working for the railway. Come diddle-diddle-I-do-I-day, working for the railway. Come diddle-diddle-I-do-I-day, working for the railway. Come diddle-diddle-I-do-I-day, working for the railway.
Thank you so much, Phil. Thank you for all the folks out there who do great work trying to help all of us live better, healthier lives. And yeah. So I'm going to do another Joe Glazer song next, but I feel obliged to just give another shout out to Mayworks. They have just done such an extraordinary job over the years of celebrating the work and the art and the culture of working people. And shout out to Ricardo Levins Morales, RLM Arts in Minneapolis, St. Paul. He has created incredibly beautiful work for some of my albums, and work that the Mayworks community has used in their festivals and in their PR work. A shout out to Anna Ratliff, who is wrangling all sorts of digital bits and bytes for me behind the scenes, helping me out with administrating this new digital reality. And she's going to post a donation link up there. While this is a free concert, I still need to, pay the bills. So in this peculiar time when I have lost now 74 concerts and festivals this year, this is how I get to come connect with you. It's how I get to give to the world, and I give freely. I give of myself to the best of my ability. But the way the labor movement has always worked is that we would pass the hat. We'd take up a collection. I was in Mansfield once. Now, they were locked out down there, but I was in Mansfield for a meeting down there, and the school workers up in Ashtabula County were going out on strike, all 98 of them, not a big local. And they passed a hat around in the Mansfield local in Ohio. And the president of the local held it up, and he said, "This is for the school workers up in Mansfield. Cheap bastards are given $20. And they came back with over $6,000 from just passing that hat around. And it's what I call working class philanthropy. None of us can change the big problems of the world by ourselves, but we can organize. We can organize economically. We can organize communally. We can organize around ideas. We can pool our talents together. We can take the resources and the strength of any one of us, bring it together in collaboration, and it becomes the strength of the community and the capacity of the community. So I really appreciate the kindness and the donations this evening. That's going to help me keep the lights on here at Studio Jencks and allow me to keep broadcasting music to you and to give it to the best of my ability. So thanks for the support, past and present and future. Anna will post a couple of links there if she hasn't already. And you can also make charitable contributions to the Mayworks community. They continue to do great work in the Winnipeg area and beyond, in Manitoba and throughout Canada. Joe Glazer wrote this next song in defense of Social Security. You would not think that we needed to defend Social Security, but there was a time when people believed that Social Security would be the very death of this nation, that Social Security, the United States, that is, Canada's always been ahead of the curve on this. And a shout out to you for that. But in the United States, our Social Security, it seems about every 10 years, comes under threat. And in the early 1950s, during one of those attacks on Social Security, Joe Glazer wrote this song, Labor's Troubadour. It's called When You're Too Old to Work.
Work in the factory all of your days. Try to provide for your loved ones some way. When you're too old to produce anymore, they hand you your hat and they show you the door. When you're too old to work, too old to work, too old to work, and you're too young to die. Who will take care of you, how you get by, when you're too old to work and you're too young to die? You don't ask for favors when your days are through, but you've got a right to what's coming to you. The boss gets a pension when he gets too old. You helped him retire, now you're out in the cold. When you're too old to work, too old to work, Too old to work and you're too young to die. Who will take care of you, how you get by, when you're too old to work and you're too young to die? They put horses to pasture and feed them on hay. Even machines get retired someday. Your boss gets a pension when his days are through. Fat pension for him, but there's nothing for you when you're too old to work. Too old to work, too old to work, and you're too young to die. Who will take care of you, how you get by, when you're too old to work and you're too young to die? There's no easy answer, there's no easy cure. Dreaming won't change it, that's one thing for sure. But fighting together, we'll get there someday. And when we have won, you will no longer say that we're too old to work. Too old to work, too old to work, and you're too young to die. Who will take care of you, how you get by, when you're too old to work and you're too young to die? Who will take care of you, how you get by, when you're too old to work and you're too young to die?
So this next one is a song that I wrote for some veteran friends of mine after having some lengthy conversations with them. And not unlike the kids that I met out in Washington State in the school, they were gracious enough to let me take their thoughts and their feelings and their experiences and ideas and craft them into a song. It's called One Piece at a Time. So on this Memorial Day weekend, think about all those folks, military, civilian, in the healthcare field, in the civil rights movement, the miners, all of the people over the years that have put their lives on the line so that we could enjoy a better life. And I think it comes with a tacit question. What are we doing with the gifts that they have given us? What are we doing with the sacrifices they have made? How are we honoring them? And how are we crafting a better world for tomorrow from the place that we stand today?
Hoping for a new start, trying to find my way. A little bit of rebellion mixed with adventure far away. A family tradition to honor and to serve. The call of duty, now I'm down to my last nerve. Does anybody see me? Does anybody know what I've been through? Some folks gave their lives all at once, but I've given up my life one piece at a time. I had a job, I did it well, tried to trust the chain of command. What in the world was I thinking? Now I walk among the damned, living on the edge of life and death. You know it takes its toll, the loss of innocence, no stability, no control. Does anybody see me? Does anybody know what I've been through? Some folks gave their lives all at once, but I've given up my life one piece at a time. Well, I second guess my choices, woulda, coulda, shoulda all the time. But on sleepless nights, that doesn't help to find a reason or a rhyme. picking up the pieces, honoring the dead. Not much here I understand, and there's a war inside my head. But I am not expendable, I'm still living with the pain. Though there are ways that I survived, I'm still dying every day. Does anybody see me? Does anybody know what I've been through? Some folks gave their lives all at once, but I've given up my life one piece at a time.
Well, I thought the song was pretty close to over because that was the end of the story that I had been told. But I brought it back to my friends who were veterans and our conversation about post-traumatic stress. One of them came up to me after and said, I don't think it's quite through yet. I said, well, what does it need? He said, I don't know, you're the songwriter. I said, well, what is it missing? And he thought about it for a minute and he said, hope. I need to know that the future has more power over my life than the past. I need to know that this is going to get better someday.
Believing that the future holds more power than the past, I reach with forgiveness for a new life I hope will last. So put a candle in the window, help me see I'm not alone. Though I have changed, I need to know I'm finally welcome home. Does anybody see me? Does anybody know what I've been through? Step by step and day by day I find that I'm taking back my life one piece at a time. Does anybody see me? Does anybody know what I've been through? Step by step and day by day I find well, I'm taking back my life. Yes, I'm taking back my life. I'm taking back my life one piece at a time. One piece at a time.
For those of you not familiar with his work, John Wart Hannum is somebody that's worth taking a look at, lives out in Alberta, and he has a song that's a beautiful, beautiful piece that talks about something similar. It talks about draped in the maple leaf. My boy came home from the war today, draped in a maple leaf. And yeah, beautiful, beautiful song. Want to give a shout out also to Maria Dunn, who lives in Alberta. Great labor artist. Last summer when we were all together, James Keelahan and Maria and myself and Dave Rovix and a whole bunch of other folks were up there singing songs and celebrating the extraordinary working class history of Winnipeg. The dairy co-op, for those of you who don't know, Google Winnipeg Dairy Co-op. There was this beautiful co-op organization that existed, a bit of a socialist enterprise that really was extraordinary. The Ukrainian Labor Temple is a national historic landmark in Canada. It's in Winnipeg. If you have never seen that, it is extraordinary. I had the privilege of doing a guest set at a concert hosted by the Winnipeg Mandolin Orchestra. And if you have never heard a mandolin orchestra, I have to tell you that was an extraordinary experience. And being in this hall with these incredibly heroic pictures, these huge mural-sized pictures celebrating workers doing the work that they do in the fields and the farms and in the industrial settings, in the hospitals, in the schools. It is just an absolutely stunning thing. If you ever go to Winnipeg, go to the Ukrainian Labor Temple. It is stunning. Unfortunately, you can no longer buy co-op butter. The co-op has closed down, but there are still people alive who remember it very fondly. And so I'm just going to play another song or maybe two at most for you, because this was supposed to be an hour-long show, but Derek and I talked today, and he said, just have fun with it. So thank you, Derek. We trust all of you to exercise your free will and leave when you need to, or stick around as long as you like. This is a song called Rise as One, the title of one of my albums. And it's a song about those school workers I mentioned in Ashtabula County, Ohio. And if you know it, please sing along from home.
It is we who serve the lunches, and we who sweep the floors, and we who drive the buses with your children off to school. We keep the buildings warm in winter and cool when it's hot, and we will not let you play us for the fool. When we ask for better health care or an increase in our wage, you tell us that the township can't afford to pay the bill, but you found $500,000 from within those very coffers to try and break the union's back and break our will. And we will never give up, we will never give in, and we'll never ever go away. We will build a brand new future for our daughters and our sons. We will work till all workers rise as one. We believe in education and the future of our town, and the children that we serve from day to day. Whenever there's a need, we always go the extra mile. God knows we do it for the love, not for the pay. But we have worked as hard as any for every inch of ground that we've gained in the struggle for our rights. And we will not stand by idly as you try to tear us down. If we have to, we will organize a strike.
We'll never give up singing.
We will never give up, we will never give in, and we'll never ever go away. We will build a brand new future for our daughters and our sons. We will work till all workers rise as one. Well, we didn't have a penny in the strike fund, sad but true, that made us all a little bit afraid. But the call went out to every other union in the state, and somehow all the workers' bills were paid. You see, this isn't just our struggle, and it isn't just our jobs, and it isn't just the schools within our town. When we dare to raise our voice in solidarity, we stand with every other worker of all the world around. We'll never give up, we will never give up, we will never give in, and we'll never ever go away. We will build a brand new future for our daughters and our sons. We will work till all workers rise as one. We held a rally at the fairgrounds to show 'em our resolve, and drum up some support for our campaign. 1,000 people hit the street, that's more than half our town. And after that, you know, things couldn't be the same. Well, whoever would have guessed it when this whole thing began? We've had the strength to hold out for so long. But 3 months have now gone by, and the school board just gave in on their demands. Now we can sing our victory song. We'll never give up. We will never give up. We will never give in. And we'll never ever go away. We will build a brand new future for our daughters and our sons. We will work till all workers rise as one. We will build a brand new future for our daughters and our sons. We will work till all workers rise as one. We will work till all workers rise as one.
Thank you so much again for coming to this special concert, a solidarity concert presented in partnership with Mayworks in Winnipeg. Thanks to Derek Black and Brittany with Fet Jockey. Thanks to Mitch Podolak. His spirit endures. He's organizing somewhere else now, but I'm sure he's given them hell too. And huge shout out to all of the folks in the labor community in Winnipeg and the North End, the people that have been keeping the spirit of 1919 alive for so many decades and teaching the world through that. On May Day, the Mayworks folks always organized the parade. May Day became a thing after the Haymarket Massacre in Chicago in 1886. In 1887, globally, people celebrated May Day, May 1st, as the Workers' Memorial Day. And it has been really a strong celebration that lasts through the whole month of May in many parts of the world. Conveniently, the U.S. parked our Labor Day, far away from, this celebration of labor globally to make sure that no one was confused that there might be any actual solidarity politically between the two. But in fact, workers everywhere else celebrate on May Day. And so Derek was telling me that they always close with the Internationale. The words were written by a fellow who was at the first Congress of working people that gathered in 1864, the same year that George Washington Carver was born. The first Congress of laborers gathered in Europe, and over the arc of a couple of decades began to organize even further. And in the late 1880s, in the wake of the Haymarket Massacre, this song was adopted as the anthem of the global labor movement. And it has gone through a folk process. The words that I sing, some of which come from that original version from the late 1880s, some of which I have adjusted to fit a modern aesthetic and crafted myself, some of which, a couple of the verses I have borrowed from fellow worker Billy Bragg, who thought this song needed a rewrite. And so I invite you, if you know it, in the spirit of how we would close the May Day parade in Winnipeg, to join with me in singing this from wherever you happen to be. And thank you so much for tuning in tonight. If you have an opportunity to make a donation or are able, that's great. If you can't, no worries. It is my pleasure to sing for you and share these songs with you that are really the heritage of all of us. And thanks so much to Mayworks for keeping that heritage alive.
Arise, ye prisoners of starvation. Arise, ye toilers of the earth. For justice calls us to creation. 'Tis a better world at birth. No more traditions chains shall bind us. Arise, ye toilers, no more enthralled. The earth shall rise on new foundations. We have been taught we shall be all. So comrades, come rally, and the last fight let us face. He Internationale unites the human race. So comrades, come rally, and the last fight let us face. The Internationale unites the human race. Stand up, all victims of oppression, for the tyrants fear your might. Don't cling so hard to your possessions. You have nothing if you have no rights. Let racist ignorance be ended, for respect makes the empires fall. Freedom is privilege extended, unless enjoyed by one and all. So come, sisters and brothers, for the struggle carries on. The Internationale unites the world in song. So comrades, come rally, for this is the time and place. The Internationale unites the human race. Let no one build walls to divide us, walls of hatred, no walls of stone. Come greet the dawn and stand beside us. We'll live together or we'll die alone. In our world poisoned by exploitation, those who have taken now must give, and cease the vanity of nations. We've but one earth on which to live. So come, sisters and brothers, for the struggle carries on. The Internationale unites the world in song. So comrades, come rally, for this is the time and place. The Internationale unites the human race. The international ideal unites the human race.
Thank you so much to Mayworks. Thanks to all of you for hanging out tonight. So appreciate the opportunity to share some of our working class history with you in this solidarity concert. I hope to see you all again soon. If you are not on the Joe Jencks mailing list, please feel free to sign up at joejencks.com. You can also subscribe to this YouTube channel, and that's always helpful to the artists. And once again, a huge shout out to Mayworks. Thank you so much for hosting this and hosting a virtual Mayworks festival. Solidarity, everybody. Take care.